Start, man. I'm starting. Okay, so my name is Paula Ferrari and I am your host tonight for the headliner show, which is myself, Gary Johal, hands up Gary, and it's Neil Mackay all the way from Vietnam. So let's be a big tan for all of us. And Artie's out. Okay. I'm going to spotlight myself. Ooh, Artie, I'm going to mute you, Artie, because you're echoing myself. Spotlighting myself. Okay. So I'm in Australia, and I've been thinking a lot lately about Australian men and my experiences growing up in Australia with Australian men. And I wanted to do a little bit about that tonight. Any Australian men in the audience? Just one? Okay. All right. But you weren't born when this I'm talking about Australian men from my early life. I just turned 50 this year. And, you know, they say when you turn 50 that, like, Hollywood has this thing about turning 50 that you become unfuckable. I don't know if you've heard that. It's pretty scary if you're a woman. Oh, wow. But I was worried about that. But, you know, you're laughing at me. I didn't want to be unfuckable, you know. I've had my 40s. My 40s I spent sort of trying to not give the wrong idea about to young guys. They seemed a little bit scared of me. I don't know why. And I figured out it's because I spent 4 years breastfeeding and my nipples are really huge, constantly engorged. And it just gives the impression that I'm always up for something. So I figured out why these guys, and I was like, no, I'm not. They're just always like that. But that was my naughty 40s. But now I'm in my 50s and I really want to, you know, I want to encourage that kind of behavior. I don't want to discourage them. So I'm going to get like red flashing lights as well. And just so people get the right idea that, yeah, I'm up for it. And these young guys don't have to be scared anymore. Just because I call them the 50-50s, you know, young guys out there want to try something new. They should be scared of me now. But I don't want to, you know, worry about that anymore, because I've discovered that even though I'm technically a MILF, that's a mother I'd like to fuck. I don't know if you know that term, technically a MILF, but I found out about this thing called GILFs. GILFs are grandmothers I'd like to fuck, which just made me really, really happy, really relieved just to know that there's like a whole new market of guys out there. I'm not a grandma, but I can role play. And now I just know there's like a whole new market out there for me of guys who want to fuck their grandmas. So I don't have to worry. I don't have to worry anymore. There's always going to be someone. Anyway. So yeah, young guys, like when I was younger, there wasn't such a thing as Me Too. So when I was growing up, it was really just, I don't know, how I survived my childhood in Australia with Australian men. But my first boyfriend, he like I've come up with this idea for a fantasy role play, Aussie style. What you do is you get to go to bed and then your boyfriend pokes you and says, hey, are you awake? That's Aussie foreplay. Well, that's how my first boyfriend did it. Anyway, shout out to Kelv.
You're so funny.
And you know, I don't know, just didn't have any understanding about like me or my body, and I didn't have an orgasm for 5 years with him. But like, I don't want to blame him because he didn't know anything about my clitoris, but neither did I. I don't know whose fault was it. I don't know.
Really bad.
But poor Calv at the time, like I don't blame him really, because at least, you know, at the time Bill Cosby was really popular in comedy in Australia when Kelv was around, and I feel like, you know, at least Kelv checked that I was awake.
Oh,
It could have been worse. So he was quite the gentleman, really, when you think about it. And I appreciate that. But guys, when I was growing up in Australia, you'd walk down the street and guys would yell at you, "Get your tits out. Get your tits out," just to get random girls walking along. That was normal. And once I walked into a pub with Kelv, and these guys, there were these guys there, we didn't know them, and they started shouting, "Get your tits out." And Kelv goes, "Yeah." And I was like, oh, thanks for the support. But I feel like I can't blame him, like these guys, because like the most famous popular comedy song at the time was the courting song by Kevin Bloody Wilson, which was "Do You Fuck on First Dates?" You know, that was the name of the song. So it goes like this: "Do you fuck on first dates? La 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 la. Does your dad own a brewery? Can I feel your tits? Will you show them to me?" Now that was popular. Like we used to sing that around the campfire, you know, when I was young. So I don't really blame Cal, because it was at least 2 dates before he asked me to show him my tits. And really it was probably 3 when we went into that pub. So it was 3 dates before he asked me to show everyone else. Anyway, before me too. So I don't know. I don't blame him. But guys don't call out, "Show us your tits" anymore. Did you know that in Australia? I was walking down the street the other day and this guy rolled his window down and called out, "Show us your flaps." And I just looked at him and I was like, ran after him. He put his foot down, ran through the red light. I was like, you know, you shouldn't really try out a 50-year-old woman like that. I'm definitely going to show you my flaps, whether you like it or not. Anyway, I'll just finish off with, I've noticed that Australian women are starting to call their anatomy, just hearing some echoing there, they're starting to call their anatomy things like steak curtains and ham flaps, ham chops. And I figure it's just because they're trying to convince Aussie men that there's something good to eat. Aussie men really love Chinese food. So they should start calling them Cantonese fillets. If Kelv thought my flaps were Cantonese fillets, I might have had an orgasm in those 5 years. I don't know. Anyway, I think that I'll leave it there. But yeah, that's my world when I was growing up in Melbourne, Australia. Thanks for listening. Yay, yay,
yay!
I hope you enjoyed it. It was all true. It was all true. Aussie men have come a long way. They've come a long way. With their vocabulary has, anyway. All right. Now,